Hello, and thanks for joining us on Ag Tech Talk. I'm your host, Dan Jacobs, Senior Editor with Agribusiness Global. Today we're talking with Sujit Janardanan, Chief Marketing Officer with Cropin, which bills itself as the world's first intelligent agriculture cloud. The company's suite of offerings is deployed in more than 92 countries. It is being used to manage 500 crops and over 10,000 crop varieties, covering some 16 million acres on both large and small farms. The goal is to digitize 1/3 of the cropland on the planet by 2025. We're talking with Sujit about how cloud technology can help all members of the crop input value chain. Agriculture has unfailing tools. The tools have been around for a long time, but does it have thinking technology?
Yeah. So, and this has been one of the questions that's been really defining our way forward at Cropin. In fact, there are a bunch of other questions, and I'm sure you would have seen some of those questions really upfront and center on our website, because that's pretty much defined how we thought of what will be the next big step that digital technologies will have to take to truly enable this industry. So when you look at agriculture, it's one of the oldest industries, but the least digitized. In fact, all the tools that today get applied within the agriculture sector on the farm, you're talking about mechanization at scale, you're talking about even the basic rudimentary tools like a plow, the cattle at work, the farmers' efforts to get things done, the irrigation systems, they all have been added. And the only thing that's changed drastically, and I think that's really forcing every player in this ecosystem to look at how can we truly enable this ecosystem with technology, is the scale of the problem that we are staring at. Food security related, the scale of problem in terms of truly enabling sustainable livelihoods for farmers across the globe, the complexity that we are facing today, sudden geopolitical issues, climate change, that is real, and we can clearly see the impact of that. And those are really forcing us to figure out, hey, can we truly enable all that's been at play within the agriculture ecosystem with technology that can help it think, decide, and act better?
Okay. Technology is definitely finding its way into agriculture at an amazing pace, and in various places around the world, it's doing different things. It's one thing to have the technology; it's another thing to know what to do with it and how to interpret the data that's coming in. I think on your website you talk about that as not just technology but also wisdom. I mean, does this new technology have some thought behind it?
Absolutely, it has. And point number one, the way we have been thinking of the future of what technology should be for this sector is, point number one, it has to be an ecosystem play. At this point in time, when I see the entire technology ecosystem within agriculture, you got thousands of point solutions being built, some by the enterprises or businesses who are operating in this field, and then a bunch of ag tech providers who are building point solutions to solve bits and pieces of the puzzle. You have several other actors and players who are also trying to build digital technologies which are solving point problems. The challenge, though, is what we call as technology sprawl, and at the end of the day, we are just making it more complex instead of simplifying it. The way I think of this is if you build an ecosystem platform where the entire ecosystem's knowledge and information can come together to help make intelligent decisions for every actor and player, that's when true value is derived out of technology. A simple example, and I think it's probably easy to wrap our heads around what the future could look like for agriculture, is the banking system or the stock exchange system. We know when a certain event happens somewhere, what's going to be the supposed impact on other parts of the entire ecosystem, because they are connected. There is real-time flow of data, real-time flow of information, easy accessibility, because data and intelligence is democratized when you talk about financial services largely, as in I'm sure that we still have a lot more to do even on that front. Or take the flight booking system globally. the flight management system which runs on Amadeus. So these are classic examples how when an ecosystem platform is created that runs as the backbone and there is free flow of data and information and easy accessibility to the intelligence that results out of it, is when true wisdom starts playing out and you're able to really drive greater value for every single stakeholder in the value chain.
Very good. So you mentioned in your first answer, agriculture being one of the oldest industries, if not the oldest industry around. So it's got a long history. And as we're bringing technology into it and learning how to use it properly, are there some lessons that we can learn that you've already learned that can be applied?
There are tons of lessons, and I think that's the beauty of deployed technology, where you're able to digitize at scale, collect tons of data points, as in trillions of data points, as in today, because of the convergence of technologies that is possible and cloud being at the core of all of it, we can actually collect and analyze and churn petabytes of data. And I think that's how we can actually make use of all the historical information that I'm sure every single ecosystem player, right from the farmer to agribusinesses to governments to development agencies, etc., who've been at work trying to build a more robust agricultural ecosystem, probably have got access to, and they can bring that to play. But that said, that's still historical data. And we all know for one thing for sure, and that's the future is unpredictable on multiple fronts. We are talking about geopolitical issues driving how supply chains of food are going to be operated in this world. There's huge unpredictability as far as climate change is concerned. And there is also a huge amount of pressure on the farming ecosystem, which is the farming communities, etc., because they are not able to build sustainable livelihoods, especially when you come to the smallholder farmers and the marginalized farmer communities as soon as you go to the emerging markets across the world. And all of this is the perfect storm that drives greater need and demand for all that historical data and intelligence to really be put to play to build probably predictive intelligence models that can help us get a little better at making decisions, while we may not be able to eliminate all of these risk factors that I just called out, but we can definitely mitigate a lot of those risks and be better prepared to manage what we are staring at as far as feeding this planet is concerned.
Oh, very good. You sort of answered my next question for me, and talking about those everything from the regulatory issues that the companies are facing, climate change. Obviously, we've seen a lot of supply chain disruption over the last couple of years due to COVID. We just had a huge hurricane here in the United States, Hurricane Ian. Certainly affecting some of the ports down south, even if it's only for a few days. But a technology that you have available that you're offering, like that's in the cloud, you think this can really help mitigate some of those challenges?
Better prepare for sure, and take actions that can help us cut down the impact a lot. And I'm probably repeating this, but our planet is staring at some of the biggest challenges in the history of human civilization. Climate change, extreme weather events, geopolitical conflicts, and economic downturns have been disrupting the agri-food ecosystem. Now, a lot of these are not new for us as the human race. But what is definitely more complex and challenging is the growing number of mouths that we need to feed, the challenges in terms of the kind of nutrition that we need to provide. And it is adding to the whole complexity as far as the challenge is concerned. Now, many countries worldwide are facing the threat of growing food insecurity, reversing the gains that was probably attained over the last few decades. And we need to act swiftly and responsibly. To succeed along with other measures, we need to have innovative and intelligent solutions for food, feed, and fiber. And it is necessary to make significant investments to maintain current yields and increase production and food quality. I'll share a couple of examples that probably help understand these better. How can we tackle the impact of climate change on agriculture? While we cannot control natural disasters overnight, we can certainly prepare our farmers and the agri-food value chain providers to address them in a better way. Technology-enabled climate-smart agriculture practices has a crucial role to play here. Now, starting with crop selection, with choosing the right time for sowing and harvesting, managing water scarcity, adopting the right farming practices, agri-tech is enabling the farming community to address the adverse impacts. Soil conditions, water resource availability, and weather conditions are constantly monitored using these technologies, helping farmers to choose climate-resilient crops during extreme weather conditions. Leveraging climate-smart agri-tech solutions, farmers can also identify over-irrigated or under-irrigated regions and take effective measures to manage optimal irrigation schedules, resulting in higher yield and quality while reducing costs. With the best use of climate-smart agriculture, countries can address and even reverse the adverse impacts of climate change. An important point to note is globally, agriculture is probably the only sector that can be net zero carbon emission or carbon offsetting sector. And that is important. Another example is the ongoing fertilizer crisis across multiple regions. The industry doesn't have an immediate solution to address the shortage. In the short term, one can leverage technology to manage the optimal use of fertilizers depending on the crop's climatic zones and soil type. This will help us mitigate the risk of fertilizer shortage to some extent. A core challenge that plagues this sector is a lack of visibility across the food value chain, from cultivation to harvesting to supply chain until the product reaches the end consumer. Today, with the Cropin Cloud, we aim to possibly solve this. And technology can help this sector to better manage such shortages, take timely corrective actions, and optimize resources being deployed within the sector.
Okay, that's a powerful tool that hopefully that people will be able to utilize. So a lot of this data is coming in. Like you mentioned, there are sensors, satellites. There's all kinds of data that gets pulled together. I think we talked a little bit about this. Having the data and knowing what to do with it are two very separate issues. And there's also the issues of like who owns the data and that kind of thing. I know those are issues that are working out. And then of course there's having the ability to be sort of universal and have all the different sensors feed into the same system so that you don't have to. What's the word I'm looking for? That everything works together, I guess, as opposed to this company has that system and this company has its own system and they don't talk to each other. And you sort of get stuck in a grower could get stuck into a particular, company, so to speak, because, everything is proprietary. How does the cloud part of that all work? And I guess I'm asking like 3 different questions here, so I'm gonna have to rephrase that.
I'll try and cover those. But that's a great question, Dan. And yes, I agree on the fact that having data and knowing what to do with it, the ease of use and being able to consume it to actually make the right decision and take the right actions is definitely a challenge that we need to address and get better and better at. In fact, it was just earlier this afternoon, I was speaking at another event being organized by IFA, which is the International Fertilizer Association, if I'm not mistaken. And one of the questions I got from the audience was about how there's so many digital tools out there, and we expect a grower or a farmer to learn how to adopt and use all of them, make sense of how to really leverage it for what they're doing on their farms, etc. And it is a real problem. We also, in fact, when we come to emerging economies like India, Southeast Asia, Africa, etc., you're talking about a farming community that is still learning how to access digital technologies, leave aside actually leveraging it to the fullest. So there's a huge gap in terms of digital empowerment that also has to be bridged. Now, and with that point, not all growers worldwide are aware of the benefits of data in their daily operations, irrespective of what size, what region are they from. Even if they are aware, they may not know how to leverage it. And Cropin Cloud helps them to leverage data without any investments or technical know-how on how to process it. And that is critical because our model is a B2B model, which enables farmers to leverage data with zero investments as our customers, which is the businesses that we work with, the development agencies that we work with, the governments that we work with, would bear the cost, and also the cost of not just the technology, but also how it gets deployed and is enabled for the farmers or growers to truly leverage it. Now, critical challenge for the agriculture industry has been the effective management of the volume and variety of relevant farming management and advisory data sources on and off the field. Here's where Cropin's data hub layer of Cropin Cloud addresses this by structuring agri-data through an agri-object model, which enables it to interface with all agri-data sources, such as in-field farm management applications, IoT devices and drones, mechanization data from farming equipment, remote sensing satellite information, and weather advisory sources. Now, these are all sources that are available and probably are made available to multiple applications. Our goal is, can we eliminate those multiple applications and give a standard single interface to growers and farmers that our customers work with, where they can get access to all of this to make better in the form of advisories. This can actually help cut down data engineering efforts by up to 80% for the businesses, organizations that we work with. And this is specifically important if they have to build similar data integrations for intelligent insights of their own. So we are helping them actually drive faster innovation to market and deliver greater value to the farmers and growers that they work with as part of their business network. We also monitor and analyze multiple high-quality data points during the crop life cycle, such as soil data, harvest quality and quantity, plot data, pest and disease incidents, irrigation details, fertilization and chemical input details, sowing date, seed variety, artificial intelligence-enabled weather parameters, satellite data, and various agronomic data records or observations that are at different crop stages, during different crop stages. Now, we use these trillions of data sets and pipelines to build powerful AI/ML algorithms to unlock predictive intelligence and actionable insights that can truly transform agriculture and benefit each and every stakeholder in the agriculture ecosystem. You can imagine the power of such massive data sets to help businesses and farmers to make effective decisions that increase efficiency, scale productivity and profitability, and enhance sustainability. Most importantly, our platform enables growers to leverage the full benefits of data without having any technical know-how and investments. We own that part along with the businesses and governments that we work with.
Very good. What else do we need to know?
You know what? The point is, we do clearly realize that every player in this ecosystem is going to be at different stages of transformation in terms of understanding digital and how all digital technologies can converge, adopting digital, and truly deploying digital to deliver value for themselves. And here's where the way we've envisaged and built Cropin Cloud comes to play. We have clearly thought of this as a platform that gives the power of choice to the users. In this case, agribusinesses, governments, or development agencies that we work with on various projects and programs, where based on where they are in their transformation journey, or where the projects are, where the programs are, they can pick and choose where to start. For example, if we are talking about starting a net new program in the African continent, where the primary goal is, can we digitize as much of the farmlands and farmer data available across the African continent and bring that together to really build a powerful data ecosystem platform that then gives the growers or the farming communities in Africa to leverage that information to be able to get better power to buy inputs that they require, or market linkages to sell their produce and get better value. So that's probably a starting point there. As soon as we come to mature markets like North America or Europe, in which case we are talking about, what digitization is largely been well adopted. However, now it's about consolidating a lot of that digitization application ecosystem, being able to add more data sources to build better decision-making analytical models and use predictive intelligence to get better at forecasting what tomorrow could look like. It could be estimating yield. It could be forecasting disease or pest infestation, getting ahead of any kind of weather forecast and hence changes that need to be implemented in terms of advisories as far as input is concerned at the farm. It could be problems like those that need to be solved. In some cases, we are talking about markets like India, Southeast Asia, where the important problem to solve is really the communication and information flow between stakeholders like governments and the farmers on the field. And that's where communication applications and engagement applications like Cropin Trace come to play and help bridge that particular gap. And so in closing, the important part is the power of choice lies with the stakeholder or user in the ecosystem.
You talk about the entire value chain. So obviously it's something that growers can use, but how does a distribution company or how does a manufacturer or anywhere in between, how do they fit in? How do they access the data? And are they seeing the same? Is everybody seeing the same data? Or is it just what they need? Or
it's a great question again. The premise with which we are building the cloud platform is that we want to democratize access to data. But at the same time, when we're working with enterprise businesses in the sector, we do realize that they need complete control over who accesses what data for what purpose, and keep it very contextual to the user, and we enable that. So there's a huge amount of customization and configurability available for any business that adopts any of our solutions in terms of data access, user control access, information flow access, workflow management access, all of those. So these are components that are highly configurable. So controls in your hands as a customer, and that is important. That said, we do believe that the more you democratize data and the more you enable decision-making at every single point of your value chain, and more importantly, along the front lines, is when we will be able to derive or create maximum value within this ecosystem. So I think it's going to be a collaborative effort with some of our customers as they chart out this digital transformation journey, because it is a new way of doing things within this industry. Despite all the effort and despite all the investments that we've been making over the last few decades, we still are the least digitized sector when we compare with the other industries like retail, health tech, fintech, all of them. So we've got a long way to go. And I think the good part for us, while we are probably behind the curve, is the fact that we don't have to deal with all of the legacy that they had to deal with, because they kept on adopting technologies, and then they had to keep on dropping those technologies and make way for new ones. So there was a lot of what I call as rip and replace, and a lot of pain in that change management. But I think within the agriculture sector, we have that benefit that we can start afresh with all the new technologies that are available to us, and the power, and bring the power of all of that to really add value for us.
Thank you, Sujit, for joining us today. We appreciate your time and insights. If you want to learn more about Cropin, visit the company's website at www.cropin.com. That's CROPIN.com. And to our audience, thanks for listening. Join us next month for Ag Tech Talk, when we talk with another expert about improving the crop input industry through technology.